What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Tablesetters covering all things Major League Baseball. I'm Steve, joined my tag team partner, Devin. What's going on, man?
What's up? What's up? Episode 90 here, 10 away from the century mark. Big stuff here. Happy to be here. I was in a little bit of a foul mood with my fantasy baseball team continuing to struggle. We just kind of talked about it off air a little bit, but happy to be on here talking baseball. You know what? I want to start off the podcast tonight. I asked someone special to do a review for us. So Grok, the AI on Twitter,
Oh, nice.
on X, whatever you want to call him. I said, all right, let's see a review. It's pretty extensive, but only going to read the first overall part and see what you think here. I didn't share this with you yet. So, all right, this is what it says. Tablesetters, a baseball podcast, is a must listen for fans who want a genuine, wide ranging take on baseball without the ESPN style hype. All right. Its focus on the sport's depth, prospects, small market teams, and fan driven questions makes it stand out in a crowded field. With minor tweaks to production and pacing, it has the potential to become a go-to for baseball nerds everywhere. I'd rate it 4.5 out of 5 for its heart, insight, and commitment to the game. I'm mostly with you there, Grok. I would have liked the full 5. I'm going to round up to 5, and and we don't think you're nerds, guys, and all those people listening right now, we don't think you're nerds. We think you're very interesting, good-looking, enthusiastic humans.
Yeah, I want to know what the half a point is taken off for from the AI Grok. I thought you were going to say Gronk had reviewed us as well. I wonder what that would sound like if Rob Gronkowski decided to rate us. And obviously, all these athletes are sort of in the eye of the media right now because of the Fanatics thing happening in New York City, with the Tom Brady thing happening with Eli Manning and Rob Gronkowski, and all the stuff happening across WWE and other platforms kind of combining each other.
I mean, I got a story about that real quick. So my wife and I were celebrating our 7th wedding anniversary it was actually yesterday, but we went out on Saturday. We decided to go into the city. Grandparents watched the kids for a few hours. So we actually got out and rode the city bikes around and stopped at some restaurants, some bars, just explored a little bit. It was a great time. But walking through the West Village, we were saying all day, like, I feel like this is the kind of day with everyone Fanatics Fest, all that stuff, and the areas we're in. I feel like, we spent time at Hudson Yards, which is very close to the Javits Center, which is where Fanatics Fest was. We feel like this is the day we're going to see someone famous. But like in the city, everyone's just so, busy looking around and not really paying attention. You very easily could just pass someone that actually is well known and not even realize it. Anyway, hours go by and suddenly we pass this restaurant in the West Village, and there, sitting with his family, outdoor dining, very casually, a nice restaurant, but very casually, Garrett Cole and his family. And I didn't know what to do. I mean, I didn't do anything. I can tell you that. And I said to my wife, I said, like, this is cool that I just passed him feet away, but like I'm not the guy that's going to say hello or say anything to him when he's eating dinner with his family. I feel like you hear people all the time, famous people, athletes say, like, if it's just me, like, feel free to say hi, but if I'm with my family eating dinner, please leave me alone. But I feel like all I can say out of it is, hey, I saw him. I feel like I needed something more out of it, but either way, pretty cool to be just feet away from Garrett Cole. Just I was shocked to see him outdoor dining just where everyone can pass him by, but 100% it was Garrett Cole and his family there.
Yeah, that is the New York really story. I mean, everyone prides
Yeah.
themselves in New York of just expecting to see a celebrity and then priding themselves on not acting like they're not supposed to see them, kind of thing. If you
Right.
run into Spike Lee, you're not supposed to make a big deal about it. But if you're not from New York, that is a big deal. Garrett Cole actually was doing play-by-play for the Yankee game. I believe it was on, I forget what day. It was during the Orioles series, and he spent some time in the booth. And it was actually really well done. Michael Kay was asking questions about the rehab and just about some of the pitching that he was watching and really eyeing what was going on for the Yankees. And it was interesting to hear that perspective. Usually a soft-spoken guy, kind of leading by example. And he seems to, I guess, lessen up the restrictions as far as what he's giving to the media, being that he's out this year. He was giving a lot more to it. And saw a different side of Garrett Cole. I know that, for some people, maybe if he's not on your team, he rubs you the wrong way type of thing. I certainly felt that way when he was an Astro, but he is a competitor and he's sorely missed on this Yankees team. But you can tell that he has his fingerprints on this pitching staff, despite not being on the mound. He definitely is helping mentor this staff and giving them, even the guys in the bullpen. You can tell, like you saw him talking to Jonathan Loaiza guy. He definitely has his hands and making sure he's adjusting these guys. This is a guy who's one of the best to ever do it, not just, being missed on the mound for a 2025, we watched him be a historically good pitcher in big moments. So seeing him contributing in this way, even though he's hurt and missed pretty much the whole season at this point, it's great to see.
So yeah, I mean, Garrett Cole seems like that kind of guy who's probably just itching to get back on the field. It's got to be tough for him to sit there and watch the team, and he's out for a lot longer. So I'm not surprised to see him doing those extra things, whether it be kind of taking guys under his wing or being up there in the booth. Maybe we'll see more of that. I'm sure it's not the most comfortable thing. I listened to a little bit. I only probably heard him for about an inning, and he just came off to me as uncomfortable. But if he was there for more than that, who knows if some of the better parts I just missed. But yeah, I mean, I can't wait to see him back. I'm not a Yankee fan, but I have always enjoyed Garrett Cole. He's been a part of some of my fantasy teams as well. So I think all baseball fans will be excited to get him back at some point next year.
Yeah, it was part of it too. Michael K was peppering him with questions and putting him on the spot for things, and I think that does make Garrett Cole uncomfortable. But if he's going to be a part of the media, and there's some guys that you maybe didn't think would be part of the media, we've seen the Yes Network hire, Todd Frazier, and not that he wasn't an outspoken guy, but to see him on the Yes Network, you don't know where the path takes you. And the guys with the big league experience, especially at a high level, the A-Rods, the Jeters, people that wind up, that is the next succession of the career. And I imagine Garrett Cole, I'm sure he likes making money and he has a lot of it, but there's a lot of money to be made after your playing career, and that's setting the table. There's no reason the Yankees wouldn't hire him to do something like that. He's no better or worse than anybody else in the booth, I guess.
Yeah, I think sometimes it just takes a little bit of practice, to be honest, and just kind of getting your feet wet and you get a little more comfortable, like you said, over time. So who knows if that's in his future, but I think everyone wants to see him on the mound more than anything.
For sure. And if you guys want to support our show, make sure you guys follow us on IG and on X at Tablesetters Pod. Join the conversation. And if you want to be like Grok AI, please leave us a 5-star review and let us know how you think we're doing over here, having conversations. Like Devin mentioned, we're episode 90. We're approaching the numbers that they award to players just called up for a brief cup of coffee in September. So these numbers are a little bit here, number 90, 91, etc. No one really keeps them aside from Aaron Judge at 99. We knew he was keeping that one for a long time. It looks good on the back of a jersey, but when you're at number 90, Devin, makes you think you're only here for a short period of time prior.
Yeah, but in the podcast world, it means we've been here for a long time. 90 episodes in, just over a year, recording Table Setters. Pretty cool to see that big number up there only getting bigger.
Yeah, big thing about these numbers as we approach them. We're getting to 100, and that is a milestone. We've had guests on. Not sure if we have anything special planned for number 100, but like we said before, we're looking to have guests from all different team coverages on. I know there's a few teams we have not discussed here, but if you guys are out there and you're looking for a team to be discussed, as Grok mentioned out there, we are looking to cover all teams of shapes and sizes, having the conversation with the streamlined, really thesis being baseball and what's good for it. So, go back in the archives, check out the Jack McMullen episode. I think that is evergreen. The Bryce Whitlow Hall of Very Good. Shout out to Deki Matsui, the newest member of the illustrious crew over there. So, and the guests we've had in the past, every single one of them, too many to name at this point, but we appreciate everybody that's come on the show and who will be on the show in the future.
Yeah, I had a little interaction with the Welsh from Fantasy Pros from In This League, former guest of ours, talking fantasy baseball. And I think I said in the comments, like, we got to have you back on soon to discuss the fantasy season and what's left of it. And he said, anytime, just let me know. So, that might be something we kick the tires on very soon. Maybe the midway point would be a good time to have him on and have a conversation about the fantasy baseball world like we did. I guess that was preseason this year, but it would be good to have a midseason one as well. And as far as Hall, pretty good. Alex Avila was the most recent candidate, and he came nowhere close to getting that 65% he needed. I think he landed at around 28 or something like that. So this is not it's not a shoe-in. You name any guy and they get in. Like, the voters have standards here for the Hall, pretty good.
And I saw the NBA Hall of Pretty Good was opened as well, and they immediately had thousands of followers over there. I'm not sure if Bryce is behind that energy or he's sourced it out to somebody, but they're growing. The idea is growing. So there's a lot of NBA players that fit the same bill, and a lot of those guys might be NBA champions this year with those Oklahoma City Thunder. We'll see.
Dude, I don't know. I mean, it's not a basketball podcast, but the Oklahoma City Thunder, I think they're here to stay for a little while. It's a young group of hungry dudes that just play the game the right way.
Pretty good, pretty good. Let's get to our opening say and discuss other champions around baseball and the rest of our opening say. All right, so we have two opening says to start here. Devin, I'll let you take the play talking about those LSU Tigers.
Yeah, LSU, the kings of the college baseball world. And honestly, when I say kings, I don't mean just this year, man. 2 out of 3 now. And honestly, in recent history, they may be the best program we've seen in these past 10, 15, 20 years. Um, Listen, Coastal Carolina had not lost in 26 games, and LSU beat them 2 times in a row. Game 1, all about Cade Anderson, 1-0 game. I mean, Cameron Flukie for Coastal also pitched a gem, gave up that 1 run early, and that's all LSU needed. Cade Anderson, man, he had men on the base paths. Like he got himself into some trouble. 130 pitches, and I mean, possible number 1 pick for the Nationals. We'll see. I put a little tweet out regarding that. And I had one person in the comments say, like, 93-mile-per-hour fastball, no way, something along those lines. I don't know, man. I think when you watch a guy like that that's still developing, I don't care about the velocity. I care that he's able to get in a big pressure situation like that, pitch a complete game and work his way out of trouble and just knows how to pitch. Don't you feel like that's more important? I mean, it's I think we want to get to a world where it's not like the only guys we're looking at are the guys that throw 99 and have crazy spin that, probably will need Tommy John within a few years, if we're being honest. So good things for Cade Anderson. College World Series overall, the playoffs, everything was fantastic. LSU has now won 47 men's College World Series games in their history, which is only 5th best. Texas has the most. We're not talking about actual championships, but just men's College World Series victories. Texas has 88 in the history. USC has the most titles, but hasn't won in a very long time. A lot of those titles came a long time ago. And when I talk about recent history, kind of alluding to LSU being the best recently, they have 8 titles since 1991. And here's the thing: USC, they began playing in the college or appearing in the men's College World Series back in 1948. LSU did not appear until 1986. All right, so they have a lot less history in there and a lot of golds. They've done really, really well in a shorter amount of time than some of these other programs that are also historic. So I don't think LSU is going anywhere. You had the Paul Skeens, Dylan Cruz Tigers a couple years ago, and now Cade Anderson leads the way for this one. And it was entertaining, man. Fun stuff. I mean, the negative was seeing Coastal Carolina's coach get tossed early in that game. I thought that was probably a bunch of BS. Just you can't do that unless the guy is really, really, really demeaning you. I thought that was very poor on the umpire's part. But overall, I'm trying to focus on the positive. Great job by LSU and great job by Coastal Carolina there representing as well. Overall, really good things for college baseball.
Yeah, I agree. I enjoyed very much all the College World Series. You mentioned LSU capturing their 8th men's College World Series championship and 20 visits in the last 40 years. So truly remarkable what they did. And if you follow the college season, again, this is the first season you and I are covering it at length and following it. They lost 13 players to the draft and they stumbled early in conference play if you watch them in the beginning of the year. But when it mattered, they really found their identity and they went undefeated in Omaha. They didn't take a loss at all. And they outclassed really a red hot Coastal Carolina team that you mentioned came in just unbeaten, cocky, very much full of confidence on the field. And they showed really that, at this point you can call them a dynasty because they're not built on just talent alone. There was resilience that at some point LSU has built institutional excellence. And that's what we're seeing from a program like this. They are the standard of college baseball. And when you watch what they've done, it's validation that they're creating one of the greatest college baseball programs of all time, not only just winning on the field, but churning out major league ready talent. And it's going to continue this year when we watch the draft.
Yeah, and it can't be easy in the transfer portal era, right? The NIL era. I mean, even when you're LSU, I mean, another story is just SEC just continuing to dominate, winning title after title after title in the men's College World Series. But I mean, there's a lot of competition out there and money being thrown around, and like it's got to be hard to keep guys that were big time, recruits that aren't playing that much. A lot of those guys leave places. LSU has been able to find a way to just keep their system working, and we'll see if they're back in the thick of things next year. I think most people think they would be, regardless of who they may lose to the draft, including obviously a Cade Anderson at the top of the rotation. But just shout out to them. You got to go back to that Arkansas game, right, where Arkansas looked like they had it and kind of choked it away. You felt for the kids there that had some moments that let it go. But that allowed LSU to continue going undefeated, and they took advantage, man. And that's a sign of a good team. When another team opens the window for you, when maybe you thought it might be closed, you step right in, no matter how narrowly that thing is open. They force their way in, and they finish the job.
So for my opening say, we'd be remiss if we didn't mention what's going on over on the West Coast with the Padres and the Dodgers. And we've seen in recent years the charge rivalry, and these guys are going at each other's throats. And this week it felt like it boiled over, and we have to discuss it here. They played 7 games in the last 11 days, so tensions obviously reached a breaking point during last Thursday's 5-3 Padres win at Dodger Stadium. But the biggest story, Devin, was the 9th inning, which saw Fernando Tatis Jr. and Shohei Ohtani hit by pitches. So if we go back to what happened, breaking it down, Tatis was plunked on the hand by Jack Little, which is the Dodgers rookie who was making his major league debut. And Mike Schilt came out not just to check on Tatis, but to confront Dave Roberts, whom he accused of allowing things to escalate to that point. Benches wound up clearing, of course, after Roberts bumped Schilt, and both managers were then sent packing by the umpires. And we got the Padres closer, Robert Suarez, who later hit Ohtani in the bottom of the 9th and the 8th batter in the 4-game series. So aired with all this is Manny Machado getting out there too. He didn't hold back post game. He said, quote, "I definitely saw the contact. I think Roberts wanted some smoke." Schulte said, "Let's go. Where are you at?" I guess Roberts sitting on their side. He also continued, "Let's just hope his CAT scan comes back negative. They need to set a little candle up for Tati." And that is kind of a threat that Machado is making towards the Dodgers. And for the bigger picture, this is not just like a one-off thing. I mean, if you've been following it, of course, the postseason last year, October, this is a culmination of some frustration. We have 8 hit by pitches in 4 games, managers being tossed, superstars targeted. That's Shohei, and Shohei took the high road for sure. And Tatis really did as well. But tensions right now are airing quite publicly on a big stage. And Roberts right now is insisting that he's just trying to get the kids some innings of talking about Jack Little, who wound up hitting Tatis. And he took Schild's response personally. And the Dodgers winning 5 of the 7 games in the stretch now lead the NL West. Padres are clearly just fed up. So there's some friction here. This is good for baseball. I'm sure you feel the same way. I know we don't want to see the superstars get hurt, and hopefully Tatis over the course of time will be okay. The Dodgers winning the series, but the Padres are going to be a thorn in their side. And I feel like I've said this time and time again here on this podcast. If the Padres wind up meeting the Dodgers in the postseason, which almost feels inevitable at this point, I feel like the Padres are the only team that can stop the Dodgers.
Yeah, I mean, I want to see them meet. I don't feel the same way as you saying, like this year, especially. I don't feel like the Padres are the team that can stop the Dodgers, to be completely honest. I thought last year's, I feel like once they failed to do it last year, I mean, the Padres are, in my opinion, when you look at their roster, are worse this year. And they haven't really shown any signs of being able to stop them. I mean, a few years back, they did get them, but not last year. And I feel like this is a different Dodgers group. I think it's great for baseball. It is a shame, and this goes back to how everyone plays everyone now, and there's tons of interleague play. So you play your division foes less, and when you see something like this, that really sucks. That's a big argument. They don't play again until mid-August, and who knows if some of this ill will wears off. I don't think it will because it's carried over from season to season. But I mean, I want them playing like a week or two from now. I think it. One of the first things I did when that series ended was let's see when the next time they play. And I thought at least we'd see them play in July. They don't play until like August 14th or 15th, something like that. I think that's a big time shame. Big time shame. I will say, man, Dave Roberts, I'm not a fan. I'm sorry, Dodger fans that are listening. All credit to him and what he's done. You got to manage a lot of egos. I get that. But this is the second time he's been like physical with another manager. This is not a first, like bumping into and like challenging guys to fights. Like, I just think it's inappropriate for a manager. Like, you can get heated, but I didn't like his reaction at all. It was your dude that hit Tatis, and Tatis is getting hit by the Dodgers left and right over the last few years. So like Schilt comes out understandably, and then Roberts getting in his face. I think Roberts is a little bit of a gaslighter. Like, I'd saying he's just trying to get the kids some innings. Last year, don't forget, in the playoffs, Roberts kind of, and I'll give him credit for this, was a little bit of the reason they were able to turn that series around. When the Padres looked to be dominating, all of a sudden Roberts started this bullshit about like, oh, Manny like tossed a ball at me, and like kind of all this woe is me stuff, and like really manipulated the situation, something that I think was pretty small, and he turned it into a big deal. it might have distracted the Padres a little bit. And the whole series obviously turned around. Suddenly the Padres couldn't score any runs. I mean, remember at one point Tatis is out there in the outfield dancing. That's how good the Padres felt in that series. And I feel like once that Manny Dave Roberts thing happened, everything turned. And Roberts probably knows what's going to get under Manny's skin. I mean, Manny played for him for a year or so, maybe a little less, but before he left for the Padres. I don't know. I don't like Roberts' tactics. Now, whether they work or not, I guess that's up for debate, but I'm not a fan. He bugs me a little bit. And seeing this rivalry, I mean, I'm not a Padres fan. I'm not a Dodgers fan, but there's a part of me that really is pulling for the Padres to get the best of them. I had no problem with the Padres retaliating. Like, how many times are you going to let your star, your young star, get hit in the hand? And I heard someone say, I can't remember who it was, whether it was someone on Twitter or someone on MLB Network, someone saying, like, you know what? Retaliate, hit him, but don't hit Ohtani. And to me, I'm like, what? Wait, what? No, you hit Tatis, I'm hitting Ohtani. You know, I could probably hit Betts or Freeman too, but why? Why can't I hit Ohtani? And I guess some people thought it was too close to the head. Listen, they got him in the arm. Ohtani ran to first base, waved everyone off, and everything was fine. I'm a sucker for old school baseball. I know some people want to say, oh, we can get that out. Hockey should get fights out of hockey completely. Baseball, there shouldn't be any of this. No, man, this is an entertainment business. Let's be entertained. I love this stuff. And then, honestly, there was some more of it in a couple other series. We saw Zach Neto and Hunter Brown get into it a little bit in Angels Astros, which I enjoyed seeing as well. This is good for the game, man. People want to see this stuff.
Yeah, and this is what it takes to police the game and get these things out in the open. And I think the result of the way the game is played now, that nothing has ever been resolved with the Padres and Dodgers. Like, there's nothing that we've seen teams of the past. The Yankees and the Red Sox obviously had their heated rivalry, but if you think back, even those 90s Yankees teams had major beef with the Baltimore Orioles, and things worked themselves out on the field because they were exchanging the beanball wars and all that. And there is, for as much as people don't want it a part of baseball, it did help in the long run stop people from getting hurt, because now the side is even. You know that you can have repercussions for what you're doing. And it feels like maybe there's an entitlement that when Tatis gets hit, that there's no feedback and they're going to continue to do it because they understand that Tatis is their best hitter. And whether it's purposeful or not, you can't have a superstar being hit multiple times. It's bad for morale of the team. You have to have them stick up for a teammate. How do you think Tatis feels getting hit over and over again? And luckily the CAT scans came back negative and he's okay, came back in the lineup on Friday and all is well. But if Tatis is out for a long period of time and gets hit in the hand and he winds up breaking his hand, that's bad for baseball. And I understand, like with Shohei, that they wound up hitting him in the back and it was close to his head. I understand that that's not what you want, but there has to be a way to police this right now in baseball, because what becomes accidental starts to feels like it's purposeful, and then it's up for interpretation. The very least, getting it out in the field and this frustration won't be as built up. And these teams clearly don't like each other. And it's not even like this lack of mutual respect. It feels like there's a resentment building up on both sides. And it's something we don't see in modern baseball. This is straight from the past. And this is more of what we saw in the 90s, like I mentioned before it was a fraternity where everyone's giving daps and hugs at second base. This is not what we're seeing. This is truly one of those things where it could boil over to something real serious if someone does not step up. And shout out to Ohtani. He was the bigger person, because if Ohtani reacted in a certain type of way, this could have escalated into
fists are flying at that point.
So Ohtani was the bigger dude, and I think that was important to watch. He led by example, and that's a true leader, but he easily could have turned it the other way. So who knows how Mookie would have reacted or Freddie, but Ohtani was like turn the other cheek.
Well, at one point, the first time everyone came together with the Schilt Roberts thing, there was a camera on Mookie and Tatis were close. And Tatis said something. It looked like it was going to be friendly. And Tatis said something to Mookie, which, I mean, he didn't look like he was yelling or anything. But Mookie kind of recoiled. And everyone wants to know, like, what did Tatis say? Because Mookie's reaction was very interesting. Like, kind of like he was taking
Mookie has that podcast, dude. So, I mean, he has a mic in front of his face.
I know, and he's usually friendly. He's usually friendly with all these guys. I don't know. But, yeah, I mean, I love that legit rivalry because, like you said, like there's too much of the fraternity stuff, and for fans, it's not great. I mean, I love Francisco Lindor as a Met fan, but like when we're getting our asses kicked by the Braves last week, and he's just like chatting it up with Ozzy Albies, and they're all laughing together. I'm like, Like, not now, man. Like, come on. Like, let's see a little fire. Don't like giggle with them during the game. I don't like that. I'm okay if you don't hate the guys. I don't need you to hate them, but like as a fan, that turns me off a little bit. And it's nice to see real legit a legit feud. I mean, Max Muncy before this series came out and said like we only have one rival, and it's the Giants. It's our natural rival. And he didn't even name
Which fuels the narrative, man.
yeah, he
That's
didn't
what's
name the
about.
Padres. Like and I think the Dodgers really know how to poke at the Padres. I mean, it's weird when you think back to after they won the World Series, they shit all over the Yankees for months, saying how like how how bad they played and their defense and all that stuff. And they constantly would name the Padres as the team they had to beat, like saying once they beat them, they knew they could win the World Series. But I almost feel like it was backhanded now that I look at it, like just another way to like, I don't know, just keep on bringing them up. And now this year you say they're not even your rivals. Last year you're praising them as the best team in baseball. The whole thing is bizarre, but it's fun. And as we talk about this, we just named Zach Neto a minute ago as another guy who got in a little thing. He just gets hit by Walker Buehler, who was really struggling in the first inning, and Neto looked very, very, very angry. Looked like cooler heads prevailed, but yeah, I mean, seeing the frustration in Neto, the frustration in Tatis. Listen, if you're getting hit over and over, especially in sensitive areas like the hand, the wrist, the elbow, right? God forbid the head, and it's not just the leg and the back. Like, yeah, eventually tempers are going to flare. Things are going to boil over, but great for baseball. But baseball, you have screwed this kind of thing up with the current scheduling model that you use. We don't need to see everyone play everyone every year. There's too much interleague. The division stuff is where it's at. That's what people want to see, true baseball fans. The fact that these two do not meet again until mid-August is an absolute shame.
Yeah, and I think most people watching that Otani hit by pitch go back to, and again, it wasn't a hit by pitch, but you got the Rays pitcher sitting in the dugout, Hunter Biggie, and he gets
Yeah,
nailed with
terrible.
the 105-mile-per-hour line drive right in the head, and he winds up getting carted off and hospitalized. And that's what you don't want to see with people getting hit in the head. And it shows, obviously, 105 is not coming off the arm; it's completely different, but shows how sensitive. If you nail someone in the head in baseball, you can quit. I mean, watch Giancarlo Stanton get hit in the face. It changed his whole career, changed his whole stance, changed his trajectory of what he was doing. It's just one of those things where you're playing with fire when you're doing those things. And I think it can be avoided if you allow these players. And you mentioned hockey being able to get that tension out. And it feels like there's no release point for the Padres and the Dodgers. And I don't know what the explanation or the solve all for that is, but right now it feels like there's no resolution of this bigger issue where these teams just hate each other because it's not a contact sport. And sometimes you have to initiate contact, almost like when you have a fight with someone, they become your boy afterwards. It's just you need to get that tension out, and nothing gets released, and these teams continue to do battle. It's good television though, good drama, and let's keep the cameras rolling with it.
Yeah, and when the managers truly hate each other, that's when you know the rivalry is not going away. Because usually, like those are the guys that just kind of like they'll give the media cookie cutter answers and just try to cool things off. These guys have not necessarily done that. They've kind of stoked the flames as well. So, yeah, we'll see what the next chapter of that rivalry is.
All right, well, let's head to the meat of the order and talk about the rest of the news around baseball. All right, so we open up with the Mets and the Braves, and we just saw the Mets drop the first game of the 4-game set at Citi Field. They were swept by the Mets. They swept the Mets last week, I should say. Chris Sale has landed himself on the IL. They're 7-3 in their last 10. They're still 6 games under 500. Now they're 5 games under. We're going to talk about if they're going to sell, but we talk about the temperature week after week, and the Mets return home to Citi Field, scorching skies. This was like sitting in top of a blow dryer out there, and I think watching the 1-8 now 1-9 tailspin for the Mets is something to watch for sure. Obviously, watching the 5-game cushion over the Phillies slip away for the second time this season is something that you are definitely concerned about. I can see the look on your face. And the Braves coming to town, a team that just swept them last week, and they followed it up with a listless series loss to the Marlins, now dropping game number 1. Is there a panic level 1 through 10 that you're sitting here comfortable giving me a number?
Well, all right. So yeah, I'm strangely calm about the thing, but getting worried is where I would say I am, and it's partly because of the experience we went through last year, where like yeah, our season looked over like after May. So the fact that we started so well and now we're having a tough spot, I know it's not the end of the world. So I'd put my concern scale at about a 4 out of 10. I don't like that you lost the first game tonight after, like you said, the Braves just lost a series to the Marlins, right? And like are maybe a little in the doldrums, they losing their star pitcher and Chris Sale. You got to come out and put your foot down on these guys tonight, and you don't. After the Phillies take 2 of 3 from you guys as well, like it's piling up kind of quick. So I'm definitely concerned. I know there's some reinforcements coming, which is why I feel a little better. Sean Manaea has looked good in his rehab starts. I'm guessing maybe he makes one more as long as it's successful. Frankie Montas is coming back. I'm not very confident about that because he absolutely got shelled in pretty much every single rehab start. So that I don't know what is going to come of that. He's starting this week against the Braves because he basically ran out of time in his rehab start. I guess they could have asked for an extension, but he went to the limit there and never looked good. So he'll be back. And I mean, Senga's hamstring injury is not super serious, so that's good. So we'll see. We'll see. The bullpen is overworked. That concerns me. The lineup has been very inconsistent. That concerns me. Lindor's gotten going a little bit, popped a few home runs the last few games. Soto looks great. That makes me feel much better. Pete, a little bit in the doldrums as well. So, and we're still trying to figure out the young guys and how they fit in. You got some guys sent down. We're going to talk about some guys being sent down and guys brought up and all the changes that a lot of different teams are going through right now. It seems like it's very popular in the league right now to kind of be making some roster moves at the moment. But yeah, my concern is there. It's growing. I want to talk a little bit about the Braves as well, but this is what I'll say about the Mets. They started June 9-2. And like you just said, they are now 1-9 since. So it's like there's two stories, like the tale of two teams, it seems like here. But they got to take at least 2 in this 4-game series from the Braves to like ease the concern. They already dropped this first one. Soto had a chance in the 8th to tie it up. He's also the only reason we had 2 runs on the board. He homered tonight, so can't get on him too much. But anyway, let's move to the Braves. The Braves, I don't know what to make of them right now. Like you said, still 5 games under 500. Seem to have the Mets number. That's the one team they seem to have. Alex Anthopoulos, before the Sale injury, said we're not trading Chris Sale because a lot of talk started bubbling up once Chris Sale started pitching really well. Like, all right, the Braves got to move this guy, right? Like, if they can't get back to 500, he's an older arm, right? He might not be a huge part of your future down the road, even though he's been great. 36, I believe, years old. And he poured cold water on that, and now he's out. Broke a rib diving for Juan Soto week rounder in that 8 2/3 game of shutout ball he pitched against the Mets last week. Comes out a few days later with a broken rib and no timeline on his return. That's rough. Now the Braves do have some other very nice pitchers to turn to. Spencer Schwellenbach looked great tonight. Spencer Strider has looked great in his past 2 starts. So there's that to hang their hat on. But my wonder is, listen, we're still about, what are we here? June 23rd. We're a few weeks away still from that trade deadline. I wonder if they at least kick the tires on trading some pieces. I've heard Sean Murphy's name come up. I don't think that's going to happen because the Braves for a while now have liked having like 2 starting catcher, like 2 quality catchers on their roster. So I'm very aware they have Drake Baldwin, but I think Sean Murphy's here to stay for now. The one guy that catches my eye is Marcell Ozuna. Like, don't you think they should explore what they could get for Marcell Ozuna at the very least?
I'd imagine so. And I think a big piece of this offense, like you would think Ronald Acuna Jr. being back and really hitting well would shake them loose. But even looking at their record, they're 10.5 games back right now. You'd have to imagine they'd entertain it if the offer would be correct for them. Because if you're looking at this Braves team, yes, Marcell Ozuna from the Braves is someone that you do like in the here and now. But this is a team that we love the young talent for the Braves. They'd be able to cultivate a farm system that eventually reaped a lot of the talent we're seeing on the field right now, and they've made smart choices. But looking at the season and reading the tea leaves of where we're looking at it right now, is it's just not their year. And I think just because you own the Mets this year and you're playing well against them, and that's a historic thing. Some of the numbers we saw, Evan Roberts was talking about, the Mets playing the Braves over the course of the last 15 years, the numbers are jarring. I
Yeah,
believe
it's not new.
they're under 500 by a large margin. But looking at the identity of this Braves team, they're scoring just 4.2 runs per game, which is barely budging, even with Ronald Acuna Jr. being there. And they allow just 3.87 runs per game. So that's a top 10 mark. This offense feels like it can't really get going and find their identity. And with Acuna come back, that's supposed to be the burst to get you over the top. And it feels like we mentioned before, getting what they did against the Mets and then going get swept by the Marlins, like it just 3 steps forward, 3 steps, 4 steps back type of stuff for the Braves. And I think what we're seeing with the Braves is just they have this, I guess, dilemma of identity. Like, who are they this year? And I think all the adversity they faced, I felt like you felt like that this was going to galvanize them. But the beginning of this year, similar to what we saw for the Mets, I mean, you could write it off as like they would take this and identify that we're going to be a team that's battle tested by the time when it matters, but they can't get out of their own way sometimes. And I think they're searching for a rhythm, and that's the frustrating part because you think a sweep over the Mets would be the team that you can define yourself, but it feels like it's still more unfulfilled potential. And yeah, Strider being back, but when are the other reinforcements coming? So long story short, I feel like they should entertain trading a piece like Ozuna if it makes sense in the here and now. And they're a team that likes to rebuild on the fly. They're never going to fully break it down. So if they wind up getting rid of Ozuna, it's going to be for MLB ready talent and then also then some. But I could see a team that really wants that bat because imagine inserting Ozuna in your lineup sometime in
Yeah, that's
October. I mean, big deal.
fantastic. Slot him into the DH spot for a team that's not really strong there. I mean, that's huge. And I wonder if Alex Anthopoulos was just trying to raise the value of Chris Sale before he got hurt by saying there's no way we're trading him. I mean, that's wouldn't be the first time. Well, I mean, what a get that would be. You're telling me if the Braves are, say Chris Sale's healthy and the Braves are 10 games under 500 at the trade deadline, they're not going to entertain if they get some nice offers for Chris Sale. I mean, the guy, he's not like he's 30, he's not like he's 28, he's 36 years old. Again, no, he's been great, but like, how much longer are you riding Chris Sale here? It's been a weird Braves season, man. Like, they've been mostly healthy. I know Acuna and Strider were out for the first little bit, but they're back and Strider started to look good. Acuna's looked good as soon as he stepped back on the field. And now Sale's out. But last year they had so many injuries. Like, everyone was going down. I don't feel like it's been that this year for them. I feel like they've been relatively healthy. Maybe Braves fans would disagree, but in the overall picture. But you look at Ozzy Albies, you look at Michael Harris, those guys are having rough seasons offensively. And so maybe you can boil it down to that. But it's just been a very inconsistent Braves team. And by the way, for anyone who's listening, like, why have they not talked about Cal Raleigh yet? Like 37 minutes into the show, we will get to Cal Raleigh. We're going to talk to him. No, not to him. That would be awesome. But we're going to talk about him in our polls section when we talk about one of our Twitter polls. He hit another one just a few minutes ago. 4th straight game. Now 32 home runs. Guy's ridiculous. But
Fantastic.
Just if you're sitting there wondering, like, where's the Cal Raleigh stuff? It's coming.
So just the backdrop to all of this, which is the brutal heat wave I mentioned in the opening of the show. Temperatures tonight, 97, 101 tomorrow, potentially at Citi Field, 95. So this definitely plays a part. We're going to get some cooling on Thursday with a thunderstorm looming, but this is it's hard to play in these conditions. And for the fans going to the games, make sure you guys are hydrating. There's no joke, man. If you guys are out there, make sure you're taking this seriously. But this is what they call, this is why baseball is a marathon. You're playing games in these conditions. And it's tough, especially when you're losing and you can, whatever you want to quantify this Mets, I wouldn't say collapse, but their streak of losing right now in the last 10 games, it coincides with Kodai Senga. Like, you look at the fact he left and they've lost 9 of their last 10, whether that is a statistical thing that's connected, it's sort of true at this point. And you look at the numbers too, and I don't want to just pile on the Mets right now, but 88 WRC plus, which is 24th in MLB, which is so offense is not really getting going. 6.37 ERA from the rotation, which is 29th, which has been, there was their backbone for when they were beginning of this year. Now it's looked a little bit brittle. Obviously the injuries have played a huge part of that. And then the bullpen, 6.38 ERA over the course of this losing streak, 28th. So the numbers aren't flukes at this point. Like, it feels like they're in a really rough stretch that they have to weather this storm, literally and figuratively.
Yeah, you knew the starting pitching was due for some regression at some point. And then obviously when you lose Senga, now you know it's due for a little more regression. That has come. Well, they were pitching out of their minds. So the regression came. The bullpen, I feel like they're patchworking right now, dealing with some injuries, some guys having a hard time, and it seems like guys are in and on the roster, off the roster, up, down, like they're figuring that out. And I will say, David Stearns, Mendoza, they're not afraid to like mess with things. They're not just going to leave it status quo just to leave it. Like they will make moves and make them relatively quickly. So, I mean, here's the thing. We always talk about how many playoff spots there are now. I mean, the Mets are still in great shape for that. So, you have some things to work on here. You have some needs to address, and you still have several weeks left to kind of sit back and see what the biggest needs are and kind of figure out who maybe down in the minors you're willing to move. And they do have a little bit of a logjam as far as a lot of young infielders. Maybe it's time to move one of those guys if someone's interested and can give you a piece that could help you now, because this is a win now team. Make no mistake. You sign Juan Soto, you 15-year mega deal. Every season going forward is win now. So it'll be interesting to see how they balance that whole thing. There's definitely some needs there. But here's the thing, man. Like 3 more against the Braves, and then you got the Pirates coming to town. Pirates have good pitching, but I believe the Mets are going to miss Paul Skeens in that series. I'm pretty sure they won't see him. Sweep that series, man. The Pirates do not score runs. Like, find a way to get 2 against the Braves here, get 2 of the next 3, and go sweep the weekend series against the Pirates, and Mets fans will start feeling a lot better.
And it would make good pod for me to sit here and say this series will define the season for both teams, and it's just not the case. Like, I feel like we've seen enough from these Mets that we know that they'll be able to bounce back. It is a long season. Their record is still much in good shape right now. I know that they're a game and a half back from the Phillies, but this will be a dogfight through the next few months here. And I really like the game 1 matchup. Swellenberg gave up the home run. He has a home run tendency. He gave it up to Soto. The Mets offense couldn't do the other half of it. So we'll see what happens game 2. You mentioned Frankie Montas. That's going to be something to watch as well. The 12.05 ERA across the 6 minor league rehab starts. And Spencer Strider on the other half. I mean, he's remained solid, but he's not the overpowering force he once was. Let's see if we can get back to that point. So there'll be certainly eyes on Citi Field, and the red hot Queens sky will be raining down. And then we got Clay Holmes taking the mound, and then Griffin Canning for the Mets as well. So we'll see what happens in the next 3 games.
Yeah, got to find a way to get 2. I don't know if the Montas one is going to be one of those.
So looking at the scope of the other New York team, they're taking on the Cincinnati Reds. Dropped game 1 of the series in Cincinnati against the Reds 6-1. So Yankees offense fell asleep once again. But the big story across Major League Baseball is the Reds calling up their top prospect, Chase Burns, to make his MLB debut versus the Yankees on Tuesday. So one of the most highly regarded arms in all of baseball making his debut is a big deal, especially against the Yankees, Great American Ballpark. And this announcement came on the heels of a flurry of roster moves. So Jamer Candelario designated for assignment. So this Burns was officially added to the taxi squad on Monday, with the Reds confirming he will start in place of the injured veteran Wade Miley. So circumstantially, this was a need start situation. They need to get an arm in there. And we can have the conversation. I love to have it all the time on this podcast about the path to the major leagues. A year ago, he was the number 2 overall pick in the MLB draft. Now with only 13 major league starts under his belt, minor league starts, I should say, he's been deemed ready for the big stage, man. And we get to see him. And the GM, Brad Mader, came out. He said, you never know when the right time is, but he's had a good first year as you could hope for. He's passed every test. We've moved him to every level and continues to get better and stronger. We feel now is the right time for him and for us. He gives us the best chance. So really damn cool. I love this. The path from college baseball to the major leagues is as seamless as ever. The road has been bushwhacked. No branches in the way. You can get there. If you play well, you can be there. And watching Burns, dude, I mean, exciting. This guy has just been remarkable. We just discussed college baseball at the open of the show. He absolutely torched the minors, 1.77 ERA, 89 strikeouts, 66 innings. Wake Forest product. We love what he's done. 12.14 K per 9 rate across all 3 levels. An absolute monster. And, 50% of swings right now drawing whiffs from his slider. Absolutely amazing to watch.
Yeah, this guy's filthy. His stuff is insane. And you mentioned the shorter pipeline from college to Major League Baseball, but let's be honest, man. Like, we haven't seen as much of that with pitchers yet. Like, this is one of the quickest pitchers we've seen to get to them, like in less than a year from when he was drafted. We've seen a lot of position players. That's been a trend. I would not say it's been a trend with pitchers. They are much more careful in building these guys up and letting them get some experience at every single level and make adjustments. Well, they've obviously liked what they see with this dude. And I mean, you watch his highlights, he's absolutely electric. He was in college as well. I'll add a little bit. I mean, you mentioned some of the stats already. 3 different levels in the minors. He did have one start, which was a complete game shutout. It was only 7 innings, so I'm not sure what happened there, but a 7-inning complete game shutout. He struck out 7 or more in 9 of his 13 starts in the minors. The best was 10 strikeout game. He owns a 70 grade fastball, so he can throw it 100. Again, for anyone unfamiliar with the grading system, 80 is the highest and 80 is very rare. 70 means it's really, 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 really good. He's also got 2 potentially devastating breaking balls. You mentioned the slider and how well that's doing for him. And here's what here's what I think the bigger story when you zoom out a little bit. The Reds, I kind of want to say quietly, I don't hear a ton of people talking about it, have put together, once everybody gets healthy, what could be just what a fun rotation for Cincinnati fans and baseball fans to watch. You're looking at potentially Hunter Green, Nick Lodolo, who also has insane stuff, Rhett Lauder, who's trying to get healthy, another Wake Forest product, Chase Burns, Andrew Abbott, who's been much better than anyone assumed he would be. And you can throw Brady Singer in there too. Eventually, they might not need, to be honest, if these other guys work out. Like, that's 6 dudes I just mentioned there. And you wonder, is this ever going to come together where everyone's healthy at the same time? Or is it going to feel like all those Mets teams with Syndergaard and Matz and Harvey and DeGrom and on Wheeler, that it just never could get all of them healthy at the same time? Like, it just barely ever. Or like, let's go a basketball reference. James Harden and Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving somehow played a season together and only were all on the court together like 9 times or something. It was some crazy number. Like, I hope it's not that. I hope we see, like, next year, give me Hunter Green, Lodolo, Lauder, Chase Burns, Andrew Abbott, 1 through 5 all year. I mean, I know that's asking a lot, but pretty electric, man. And who knows who they take in the draft this year, man. It's exciting. And then you got Ellie De La Cruz on offense, like, a lot of fun stuff. And Terry Francona is there. I know that this season hasn't been maybe the kind of coming out party some people were hoping for. They're kind of hanging around. But still a very, very bright future.
Yeah, and I guess the precedent I was setting, obviously, we got the young players reaching, Jack Caglione, Nick Kurtz, Cam Smith, Christian Moore, and the list goes on. They did this last year with Rhett Lauder, I believe. He did 22 starts, and he was drafted that year, right? 22 minor league starts, and my Wake Forest situation. He was aggressively called up too. So maybe this is more of a Reds thing than a Major League Baseball thing as far as pitching goes. Maybe they're just going to push college ready pitching, elite arms, and get into the major leagues and I like that new pattern. If that's going to be what they do, I love that moxie because as we talked about LSU, but Wake Forest is every bit of factory creating major league ready pitchers and players at this point. And he is the first pitcher and 6th player from 2024 draft class to reach the majors. So he was ranked number 1 in the Red system, number 11 overall by MLB Pipeline. This is a big deal and joins the fray of all this great young talent, which we love to celebrate across Major League Baseball.
Yeah, and I mean, clearly they like the pitching program at Wake Forest too. So
we do as well. We do.
I think they're just targeting, like you said, the fact that they've called both those guys up relatively quickly after drafting them. Maybe they're just, or at that point, we're targeting guys that they thought would be ready relatively quickly that were pretty polished already. I'm trying to look real quick. I was looking at an ESPN mock draft with the drafts coming out relatively soon. I want to see who they have the Reds taking. I'm just curious if they think they'll take another pitcher.
Well, in the meantime, while you do that, I'll talk about the Jeimer Candelario story because it's a big deal here. They reinstated Candelario from the IL on Monday, immediately designated for assignment less than a year after signing him to a 3-year, $45 million deal. We got the president of baseball ops, Nick Kroll, coming out and calling this a sunk cost, saying that Candelario no longer gave the team the best chance to win. So 31 years old, he hit just 113 with 2 home runs in 22 games before the back injury. He batted .238 with 1 home run during a 17-game rehab stint. It's a 10-year major league vet, career average of .237, 110 homers in 880 games. Got himself a payday with the Reds. I even went back on YouTube they did a little press conference when he arrived there, and the Reds consider this a sunk cost, which I thought was strong. And I understand he's battling with a bad back. Evan Carter, we watched him. He can't get right with the bad back. You know how Shawn Michaels with a bad back had to retire for many years. So you know how that goes. Sorry, Travis. It's just very challenging. And for them to cut their loss feels like there's a bigger issue with this as well, not just the injuries and not him playing well on the field. Maybe there was a disconnect personality wise.
I mean, I remember this signing. A lot of people were praising this signing. A lot of people loved it. A lot of good baseball people loved that signing. And not every signing works out, man. I mean, injuries play a huge part. Who knows if there's something else going on there between he and the organization? But yeah, strong words. Sunk cost is definitely strong words there. But sometimes you got to do what you got to do, and you got to move on. And that's the best case scenario. It's not always the guys you think. I mean, sometimes it works the other way when you're patient enough. Something good happens. I mean, we were talking about the Tigers earlier in the year before the season, saying like they gotta just cut bait with Javi Baez, and now you're looking Javi Baez as a potential all-star. Playing
and way more
field.
of a sunk cost last year, if you think about it. I mean, come
right.
on.
So who knows? But so just to follow up on the mock drafts, ESPN has him the Reds draft number 9. They have him taking Seth Hernandez, who is maybe the best high school arm according to some people out there. So and that makes sense because if you have all these other young arms already, like you don't really need another one that's going to be ready very soon. So taking a high schooler that is very highly thought of, and I mean Hernandez is the type of guy who may go earlier than that. He could absolutely go top 5, top 3. So that would be him falling to them, which I'm sure they would love. But it's interesting to watch the Reds franchise. Not highly talked about other than Ellie De La Cruz, but quietly, in my opinion, putting just an electric staff together if all the health works out.
Yeah, I would love to do an MLB draft special at some point. Now that you and I are more familiar with the prospect pool and watching it come up, and just do a draft special covering it in full. I think people out there would enjoy. I know certainly I love the draft coverage as well from different pods, but your Mets wound up optioning Francisco Alvarez and Luis Angel Acuna. They call up Travis Jankowski, and they made some other roster moves. They officially signed left-hander Dickie Lovelady, who I can't wait to hear the SNY booth call his name with a straight face. Otherwise known as Richard Lovelady. He requested the name change, so now he's officially Dickie Lovelady. They, like we mentioned, Travis Jankowski optioned Tyler Zuber and Luis Angel Acuna to AAA. Jose Siri moved to the 60-day IL. Acuna is the biggest surprise here. He did have a strong April, slumped badly in May, and lost some playing time. And Ronnie Mauricio is healthy, and the Mets opted to cut bait with him for now and send him back down and get right. And Janikowski, speed defense bench option, which I think is a good option. This guy, major league experience. He's been out in April since I believe. Well, no, I'm sorry. That Siri is out since with the fractured tibia, but Janikowski provides some depth on the bench for you guys.
Yeah, Jankowski we spent a little time here with us in 2022 and became like a fan favorite. Just a humble dude, Stony Brook product as well. Shout out to them. The Mets are just figuring this out. I think the biggest story there is Francisco Alvarez. Fans were starting to get restless with him as well. He's at one point a fan favorite. He just feels like he's regressed offensively and defensively. Interesting. Like last year, his offense wasn't there. The first year he came up, the offense was great, hitting a lot of bombs. Last year seemed to regress offensively, but was a great framer, calling a great game. Pitchers seemed to love throwing to him. This year, like nothing was happening with him. So I think this was the right move. Go get his head right. Clearly, I think he hears the noise and is pressing a little bit. What I really want to do, like there was just a flurry of moves this week in the last few days. So I want to just name a few, and this is not all of them. And I want you to tell me what you think the biggest one is, like the biggest impact here. So aside from the Mets ones you just talked about and Candelario, you talked about the Reds, some other ones that are here. Max Scherzer going to be back for Toronto on Wednesday. Shota Imanaga returning to the Cubs this week. Nathan Eovaldi returning to the Rangers this week. It came out that Michael King probably unlikely to return until after the All-Star break. Red Sox optioned your boy, Christian Campbell, back down to AAA. Adley Rutschman to the IL. We don't really see that. That guy plays every game. Padres DFA'd Jason Hayward. Mariners DFA'd Rowdy Tellez. When you see that list right there, what jumps off the page to you that you think is the most impactful?
I'll pick 3. Michael King is the first thing that jumps out to me. There was a lot of conversation with that nerve impingement in his throwing shoulder that he might be out for the year. So I was very happy to see that although he won't be back in time for the All-Star game, that he's optimistic he will pitch this season. It's huge for the Padres. We want to make sure that he gets back there. He's yet to resume baseball activities, but I think the fact that he's saying that he will pitch by the end of the year, that's more of a breath of relief for me, because this guy, I mean, the Padres are without Yu Darvish. They're battling in the NL West. They want that wild card spot, and Michael King's going to play a large part if he can get back on the field.
Yeah, the Michael King one was interesting to me as well. And I mean, still a little bit like you don't have concrete information, but hopefully, like you said, it's the optimistic side of like he is coming back. To me, I mean, it's Shota Imanaga. The Cubs have been able to kind of keep their head above water with their offense and people stepping up. Matthew Boyd's been great for them. I mean, very quietly. I looked at what he was doing just in the fantasy world and I couldn't believe it. But getting him Naga back is enormous if he's right. Because they lost Justin Steele as well. Like if you're going to be a potential World Series winner, you do need that ace of the staff in there. Even if your offense is fantastic, even if PCA is going nuts, and Seiya Suzuki is also popping 20 home runs. Lots of great things for the Cubs. You need that pitching. The bullpen, by the way, we've talked about how bad they've been last year and the beginning of this year. They've been fantastic as of recently. So shout out to them as well. But getting Imanaga back to me is the most impactful of the things we just listed. I mean, Nathan Eovaldi coming back, not even needing a rehab stint, apparently.
Yeah, no rehab start, skipping it. Yep.
And that's great for the Rangers. But you know what the Rangers' problem is? They need to hit the goddamn ball. Like, it's not about the heat, apparently. They just can't hit. And you look at the names in the lineup, you're like, how does this team not score more? But pitching hasn't necessarily been the hugest problem for them, but getting Eovaldi back is a boost. But I still think it's Imanaga there. Christian Campbell thing didn't surprise me. Started off hot. Pitchers kind of figured him out a little bit. He needs to go make an adjustment. I'm sure we'll see him a little bit later in the season. I don't think that's the last we've seen of him. But yeah, Imanaga, I think we're all excited to see him back.
Yeah, and I think the Christian Campbell story is tied with the Rowdy Tellez thing, and I'll tell you guys why. Because I think we've seen reports come out. Nesson reported this, and the Boston Herald came out saying that Rowdy Tellez, who was DFA'd by the Mariners, the Red Sox really looking for that boost at first base. Christian Campbell learning first base with the Woo Sox at this point. They want to figure out Tristan Casas being hurt. This is a domino effect where Rafi Devers not picking up the first base glove. Rowdy Tellez might be a stopgap because he has a history of success at Fenway Park. I looked at the stats here: 319 average, 5 home runs, 27 games. He's hit 11 home runs this season against right-handed pitching, which makes him a strong platoon fit for Boston's lineup, in my opinion. And looking at the current first base group for a combined 689 OPS, Abraham Toro, Romy Gonzalez holding things down. They need an answer at first base right now. And if Christian Campbell can learn it pretty quickly, the guy's an athletic guy and obviously lost a little bit of confidence. Maybe Tellez can give them an immediate upgrade at the position while they figure that out. I don't think we've seen the last Campbell in 2025 with the Red Sox. And Alex Cora came out and said it's not about reset. It's about resetting and not dominating stat sheets. So it's about just getting right. The Red Sox have been a little bit of a mess of how they manage things, but this was one of the decisions that was the right call. Like this was something they needed to do.
And they've also been playing better too. Like the record's been better lately. They gained some ground on the Yankees as well. That division suddenly has gotten very tight at the top with 4 teams involved, which is cool to see because at one point it looked like the Yankees were going to go run and hide pretty early on in the season. And now all of a sudden the Rays are on their tail and the Blue Jays and Red Sox are not that far behind either. They're all playing pretty good ball. So that's fun to see. I mean, they have talent on all 4 of those teams. I mean, Orioles do as well. And they've gotten things together a little bit as well, but I think they buried themselves too deep. So good things in the AL East, and I think it's more exciting. The Tellez thing is interesting because I did not realize there might be a tie there. Didn't think that those two things were related at all, but now that you say it, it makes some sense.
And for Jason Hayward, he might be a good pretty good candidate. 16-year MLB veteran. I think he might be a good candidate for that. Think about when Hayward first got called up, hit that home run, electric. I remember that was a huge.
He was
moment.
So hyped. He was such a hyped prospect coming up in Atlanta. And just never. He had a couple good seasons, but
dude, just as bad as first base has been for Boston, San Diego's left field has been an absolute weakness. Atrocious. 27th in MLB WRC plus. They just need to figure it out. And Jason Hayward obviously wasn't the answer. He's not the same player he was. 2016 World Series champion, and he opened the season as San Diego's primary left fielder, but he struggled. I mean, he's kind of lost it a little bit, and that's okay. He's had a pretty good career. I think we'll see him down the line get inducted into Bryce Whitlow's nice little induction. I think he would fit the mold, but I mean, we're looking at a collection for San Diego figuring it out. And I don't know, we got, if we get a decision that we're having Atlanta selling, they obviously have Jerickson Profile returning from suspension pretty soon. Maybe they part ways with him and he makes a reunion with San Diego. Who knows?
I feel like he belongs in San Diego, but I don't know. I don't see Anthopoulos doing that. It's almost like admitting a mistake. Like just right. I don't see him kind of doing that, but I think fans want it. I think they could, Although I've seen a lot of Braves fans very excited for Profar's return. You would think some of them would be a little bitter towards him for immediately getting suspended after paying him, but there's some fans ready for him to come back. And if he's the same guy we saw last year, I mean, that Braves offense already should be so good. You put him in the mix too. It could be fantastic. One of the best offenses in the league if it's clicking.
Oh, for sure. And as far as the Scherzer thing, we didn't really discuss it at length, but
yeah,
at some point, like, I mean, with Scherzer, I mean, he was away for 3 months at this point, right? So, he was named the starter. He had the right thumb issue. It feels like he's going to be part of a coaching staff sooner than later, right? Like he inevitably, I don't know if he'll ever be an MLB manager, but I feel like he's going to be a pitching coach. Can't you see him wearing the windbreaker, heading out to the mound, yelling at some person, asking for the ball?
I can picture him playing men's fast pitch, like when he's 50, just cursing guys out that never played past like high school ball. That's what I see him. I don't see him managing. I see him like continuing to find a way on a baseball field, just throwing whatever he has left until his arm falls off. Whoever will let him start a game. That's what I see Max Scherzer doing.
Isn't it interesting that his shoulder holds up after all this, and it's going to be a right thumb issue that is eventually his downfall after that, the quirky rotation of the arm, and everyone's saying it's never going to last. He winds up having a very lengthy Hall of Fame worthy career, and it's a thumb ligament thing that's going to eventually sideline him forever.
Yeah, you never know what it's going to be. Wasn't it like, I'm going to mess this reference up so far, but there was like a famous mobster. Was it Gotti or was it someone else? Or maybe no. Maybe I might be getting this all wrong. It may have actually been. I'm going to have to check this, but it's not a baseball reference, so that's why I'm okay getting this completely wrong, unchecked. Maybe it was the son of Sam, the serial killer. Someone did all these terrible crimes, and then I think the way they actually like found him and got him was like a parking ticket or something like that.
I think it is son of Sam. I think that is like going back.
So maybe I got it. All right,
yeah.
Props to me then.
Yeah, that was the same year the Yankees won the World Series. That was the whole thing, the Bronx Zoo documentary thing they were doing, right?
Yeah, somehow I'm going to tie Max Scherzer's thumb to that.
To the son of Sam. All right, well, let's move to the sub 2 ERA and have a conversation about really the elite crew that's left.
Well, listen, it's a small club. We've been at like 6 or 7 for almost the whole season. And this week I looked at it and I was shocked to see only 2 left. But honestly, kind of good that this is going to be a short segment because we're an hour in and we still got a lot of work to do here on the docket. So here are your 2 guys. Paul Skeens, who actually just entered the sub 2 ERA crew about a week and a half or 2 weeks ago. He holds it down 1.85. That ERA actually went up a little bit from 1.78 last week, but he's still there. Hunter Brown, who I think at one point fell off, then got back in. He's still in it at 1.88. And that's it. Kodai Senga fallen off. His ERA is below 2, but he is not qualified because he's not at the right amount of innings now that he's hurt. Max Fried, 2.05. He fell off. Chris Bubich, 2.12. He fell off. Tarek Skubal, 2.06. He fell off. I would pretty much guarantee at least one of those guys will be back. But for now, it's a 2-man sub 2 ERA crew.
Well done. And 2 of those guys make a good tag team. Paul Skeens, Hunter Brown win any tag team title in any promotion, I think. So I'm not going to play the bumper here for this, but we got some Twitter conversation, and you posted a poll of who is your AL MVP. So you listed 2 options, or 3, I should say. One was Aaron Judge, one was Cal Riley, and the other was another. And it was a write-in. So Devin, lead us through the percentages and who is Twitter's AL MVP.
I thought this was pretty shocking, and maybe there's a little recency bias here. Cal Raleigh's been tearing it up the past 4 or 5 days. Just kind of all different highlights for him. Aaron Judge got 42% of the vote, even though when you look at the sports books, he's the runaway favorite for the American League MVP. Cal Raleigh, the people's man right there, the people's MVP, 54%. And other only got 4%. I only saw 1 write-in, which was for Jose Ramirez, which, I mean, not a bad write-in there. I'll give you that. But I want your thoughts as the Yankee fan. Are you offended by this at all? Are you surprised Cal Raleigh beats Aaron Judge out here?
I am not surprised because it's sexy right now, and it's the story. Everyone loves it. Everyone loves Cal Riley catching lightning in a bottle. He's not just having a good season, he's having one of the most remarkable campaigns by a catcher in modern Major League history. There's no doubt about it. Through June 23rd, he was slashing 276, 383, 659 with 191 WRC plus with the league leading at this point. What is he at home run wise? Is that 32? Is that where we're at?
32 now because he hit another one tonight. Yeah, 32.
And the thing at a catcher to be a presence behind the plate for
Yep.
a Mariners team that's in playoff contention. He's done all of it by catching 58 of 75 games. I'm not sure if he's behind the plate tonight, but make that 59 games if he was out of 75 games. He's the first catcher to reach 30 plus home runs before the All-Star break since 2001, where essentially go back in that year. Barry Bonds, Luis Gonzalez rewriting offensive record books. I mean, he's added value on the bases, 9 for 11 on steals. And in the field, he's consistently ranking among the league's best pitch framers and game managers on both sides of the ball. So if you're going with the most valuable, you can make the case for Cal Riley being compelling. He's leading the game's most physically punishing position. That's the thing that people need to take into account here. He's the heartbeat of a Mariners team that desperately needs him. What would they be without him? And the rub in comparison right now is you look at Judge, and this is where my Yankee fandom comes in. It's also just being unbiased. He leads virtually in every offensive category, including WAR, OPS, on base, slugging, and he's done it consistently. So I'd have to see Cal Riley do this for a longer period of time before I'm able to say he is the MVP, because Judge's numbers are still, I know he's been slumping a little bit in these Yankees cold streak. It is still remarkable. And you watch stars like Shohei, Juan Soto, Kyle Tucker, they moved to the National League. This is Judge's award to lose. And he's done it twice with awards in 2022. He did it last year as well. And if he pulls it off, he'll be the first back-to-back AL MVP winner since Miguel Cabrera in 12 and 13. So the numbers are absurd. Judge is absurd right now. And I think it washes over us because his dominance has been so expected. And just because Kyle Riley's doing it at catcher, it is great. Don't get me wrong. It's a sexy pick. I love it. Let's see where we're at August 30th. We'll see where we're at.
Well, the switch hitter thing too is awesome as well, even if he wasn't a catcher. Like most home runs for a switch hitter before the All-Star break ever, not just catchers, most any switch hitter.
Crazy.
He joins Mike Piazza, Johnny Bench, Roy Campanella as the only catchers with 3 or more 30 home run seasons as well. He's only the second Mariner to have 30 or more before the All-Star break. Griffey did it, I think, a couple times, maybe a few times. At one point, I think Griffey had 35 before the All-Star break. Riley might get past that before the All-Star break at this pace. Just incredible for him to do this at the catcher position as a switch hitter. And it almost reminds me of how you would argue Judge versus Shohei, not for MVP because they play in different leagues, but there is an argument also out there of who's the better player. And people that put up for Judge say he plays defense, right? And now the argument for Raleigh against Judge is, well, they both play defense, but Raleigh plays catcher. When have we seen a catcher be able to do this? A switch hitting catcher too. Like, it's pretty incredible. So it's a very similar argument you would actually use for Judge. It also reminds me of the Lindor Ohtani thing that got hot for a little bit last year. Even though Ohtani had, almost like double the amount of home runs and things like that, people started arguing, mostly Met fans, but I think there were some others paying attention as well. Lindor's playing this elite defense at shortstop, maybe the most important position on the field. He's a great leader, right? Clutch. He was coming up clutch time after time. So there was that argument where Ohtani is sitting on the bench most of the game and getting up 4 times to hit, 5 times maybe. I think if Judge didn't play the field at all and Raleigh was the switch hitting catcher doing this, I think I would agree with the people saying Raleigh. I think I lean a little bit, very minor, honestly, right now towards Judge. But I mean, Raleigh's pulling away in the home run department a little bit. I mean, Judge could come back very quickly. We know that he hits home runs in bunches as well. But what Raleigh's doing is incredible. I have not seen a catcher do it like this. I mean, Salvador Perez holds the record with 48 home runs by a catcher. I mean, sure as hell, it looks like Raleigh is going to absolutely smash that. You never know what's going to happen health-wise and stuff like that. But it's been fun. This guy's like the most unassuming superstar I can think of.
Yeah, and you look at Judge too, like the WAR right now already surpassed Jackson, Merrill, and Vlad Jr. put up across all of their 2024 campaigns already through 77 games. And he does it so easily. And I think that's why people they get lost in it and they want to look to vote for somebody else. And I believe Judge at this point. I mean, you look at the 453 BABIP, which is the highest full season mark since the 19th century. If he's able to go out and do this, his career average is up there. You would imagine regression is likely. We've seen him already kind of cool off, but the slash line is still ridiculous at this point. Unreal. I mean, even if even the fall off is steep, his output right now is he has a significant cushion. I think MVP voters love the dominance he has, and inevitably he will wind up winning. I do want to put some love on some of the guys that are not going to win, no doubt about it. But in other years when the offense is a little bit down, Bobby Wood Jr., who finished second in 2024 votings, one of the league's brightest two-way stars. He's not having the same power that he did. Of course,
No.
regressed slightly from his 32 home run campaign last year, but he's need to catch fire in the second half, and maybe he'll get some help in the form of Judge or Raleigh cooling off to make a push. I doubt it, but Jeremy Pena, I want to put some love on, having a breakout year, 11 home runs, 15 steals, above average on the shortstop defense, which is huge. He's never even made an all-star team before 2025. Maybe he'll make it this year. We'll talk about the voting in a second, but the rise has been really pleasant in my opinion. And you got to put some love on Jose Ramirez doing his usual thing. Ho hum 30-30 season on the ride here. Tarek Skubal, dominant force. Like he got to be considered as well. And then also, dude, I understand he only played 60 games so far this year, but Byron Buxton, his numbers are
Yes.
pretty wild. 155 WRC plus, Gold Glove caliber defense. So it's a two-horse race, no doubt about it. But want to throw some love on some really great talent that other years when the offense was a little bit down, they probably would have a shot to win.
Yeah, no doubt about it. You want to, the All-Star game, that's what it's for. So you can highlight some of those other guys that are not going to win MVP. But yeah, Buxton, I love seeing what he's doing. And you just keep your fingers crossed he can stay healthy because he's such a hell of a player to watch, fun to watch. And he deserves more of a full season and seeing what those numbers really are if he can put together more of a full season at the end.
Yeah, and I think watching what judges, if he's chasing something bigger at this point, not just a third MVP, but this is to me, it might be hyperbole, and I don't know. I'm sitting here as a Yankee fan, but he's one of the greatest offensive players of my lifetime. I mean, the stuff that we're seeing is just comically amazing, and it's hard not to just laud in it. It's just unreal.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it. Our lifetime and other people's lifetime as well, to be completely honest.
Yeah. Well, let's move on to the current All-Star Game position leaders draft that Devin put together for us to create our team filling each position. All right, Devin. So guide us through this. I have the top three by position in each category in front of me, so I can kind of lead the way. Uses my draft pool, but you lead the way, and I'll follow your lead.
All right, so what we're going to do is we're just going to take the leader at each position, so not the top three.
Mhm.
And I'm going to read them off very quickly so the listeners know who we're going from. So combine the AL and the NL, and not just have to follow one league or the other, and see what our teams look like afterward. So AL, Riley Green is leading in left field, or really just the three outfield positions. I'll say Riley Green, Javi Baez, Aaron Judge. Third base, AL, Jose Ramirez. Shortstop, Jacob Wilson, interesting, over Bobby Witt. Gleyber Torres at second. A lot of Tigers here. Fans are showing up to vote. Vladdy at first. Cal Raleigh, of course, at catcher. And Ryan O'Hearn as DH now that Rafi Devers is in San Francisco in the National League. National League ballot leaders in the outfield, Teoscar Hernandez, Pete Crow Armstrong, Kyle Tucker. At third, Manny Machado, Francisco Lindor at short. I mean, about time he makes an all-star team. Ketel Marte at second, Freddie Freeman at first, Will Smith behind the plate, another guy who's not getting enough love, having a hell of a season there behind the plate, and Shohei Ohtani obviously at DH. So I am going to allow you to take the first pick here. Now we're trying to fill catcher, first base, second base, shortstop, third base, and left field, center field, right field. And hey, I want to say it like this. This is not us trying to put a fantasy team together. We're trying to put together a team on the fields that we feel like is going to beat the other team. After we fill the positions, each of us are just going to take a starting pitcher because we know the pitchers are decided on a little differently by the manager. So we're just going to take any starting pitcher we want when it comes to our turn. But let's fill the position players. Steve, go ahead with your first choice.
With the first overall pick in the All-Star Game draft, I'm taking Aaron Judge playing right field. I mean, he has 2,699,483 votes, by far the most in baseball right now. Looking at Ohtani, he's got 2.5 million. So Judge still a little bit ahead of our boy Ohtani. Decoy has some more votes as well.
All right. Well, you kind of forced my hand here. To be completely honest, I really hate taking a DH with my first choice, but I cannot possibly let you have Judge and Ohtani on the same team. So almost as a defense here, I'm playing defense. I'll with my first choice, I'll take Shohei Ohtani to DH for me.
Well, I'm making a little bit of a list here so I can keep track of
Same,
everything.
same, same.
So I'm putting them together. So I have Judge as my right fielder, and then I'm going to make sure I have second and first base, and we have one starting pitcher we can take, right, too?
Yeah. Well, I get, I said we were gonna do that at the end. Let's just do that at the end. Like we'll save starting pitcher, both of us, for our last choice, and we can pick anyone from the starting pitch. I mean, because we don't know who the all-stars are going to be starting pitchers yet, so we can pick anybody.
All right, so I put a lot of praise on this man just before. He is eventually going to win the runner-up in the AL MVP. I'm going to make my catcher Cal Riley. We're going to have home runs galore, and we're going to toss him out there. So far, I have an all AL team. We'll see how that goes.
All right. Well, I'm gonna this might surprise some people, but I'm gonna stick with the NL as well. Imagine we just end up with the AL and NL All-Star teams. We can't let that happen. But I am gonna for now go NL. Listen, one of the most important positions on the field, and the guy has been absolutely electric, does absolutely everything. I'm taking PCA, Pete Crow Armstrong. Maybe it's the Met fan in me. I know I'll never have him on my team. When we had him, we traded him for Javi Baez, who's also maybe going to be an all-star, but not for us. So I'll take PCA, and I'm going to plug him in center field.
I love it. I like PCA. I love the energy over there. I'm going to go with third base, and I hate to go AL again, but I'm going to go Jose Ramirez because I think how can you not go Jose Ramirez here? So that lineup so far is absolutely insane with Jose Ramirez, Aaron Judge, and Cal Riley.
Ay. Okay. I really want to take an AL guy because we're just going AL NL here, but I'm not sure this is the time for me to do it. It gets real tricky towards the end. I feel like the first 6 or 7 guys you got to go with, but I'm also trying to figure out, I mean, I'm mainly thinking about positions, but I do want to try to cultivate like a lineup that makes sense as far as, guys at the top, guys for the middle, things like that. But in the defensive, I mean, think about this. You have PCA in center up the middle. And I'm going to put Francisco Lindor at shortstop, another important defensive position, leader. He can bat a lot of different places. So Francisco Lindor is my third pick here.
I do like that. And I'm going to go on the NL side of things. And I'm going to put him in left field, Teoscar Hernandez. Although he's not a vote leader, he is still top 3 in outfield. I can still pick him, right? Is that how that goes?
Wait, who'd you go with?
Teoscar.
Yeah, no, he's one of the outfield leading vote getters. He's one of the 3. He,
Okay.
PCA, and Tucker in the outfield as of now.
All right. Well, Teoscar join the squad.
All right, so you took Teoscar there. All right, looking at who's left here. I mean, do I go second base here? Still 2 very good first basemen left as well.
Just
I'm
a
trying to
quick
look
aside,
Yeah, go
I'm
ahead.
looking at the top 3 for catchers, and Dylan Dingler of the Tigers is number 3 here.
Dude,
Shout out
Tiger
to
fans are
Detroit getting out there, dude.
yeah,
Getting out there.
Tiger fans are showing up. Man, it gets tough right around here. There's several good choices. I am going to go I feel like I need a right-handed power bat. I could easily take Freddie as the lefty first baseman, great bat, but I'm going to go the right-handed first baseman, Vladdy. I need an AL guy here to mix it up a little bit. So Vladdy's going to be my first baseman. I'll plug him in right there.
All right, for short, I'm going to go with Frankie Lindor.
No, I
love what
already
he
took
brings
him.
to the table. And
Already
you
took him.
took Lindor already?
Already took him.
You did take Lindor. All right, well then I guess I got to go AL side. I was looking for a shortstop. Welcome to the squad, Jacob Wilson.
All right, you don't try to take Lindor from out from under me.
I tried to have NL a little mix over here. I was trying to reunite
Really?
Jose Ramirez and Francisco Lindor. They want to be together.
All right, so I have catcher open, but you took Raleigh. I have second base open. I have third base open, and then 2 outfield positions here. Let's see. It's oh wow. It's going to be NL here. I'm kind of deciding between Tucker, Ketel Marte, and Manny Machado. Let's make the kid feel good. He's going to have his buddy there. So PCA's in center already. I'm going to put Kyle Tucker over in right field. Make PCA feel a little, maybe take the nerves down of his first All-Star game.
All right, Kyle Tucker. So now all three outfielders are gone from the NL. So my last outfielder will have to come from the AL. So I'll leave it be for 1 second, just because of just strategy at this point. For my first baseman, I'm going to go Freddie Freeman. And despite the foot, want to make sure that I'm getting some veteran presence out there. Freddie Freeman, big game Freddie, nightmare appearing in Yankee fans' dreams. Freddie out there just absolutely ravaging pitching. So Freddie in a big spot for me.
All right. Oof, all right. I'm torn again, but I'll go. Let's complete the infield as far as the up the middle part of the infield. Ketel Marte at second. So I have he and Frankie Lindor as a double play tag team there.
I do enjoy that. Ketel Marte. Does that shock you to see he's leading second base? I mean, looking at the second base, I mean, Tommy Edman getting a lot of love from the Dodger fans, and then Nico Horner coming up the rear with the third over there. So pretty big
Marte
divide for
hasn't
Ketel Marte.
Marte hasn't had the dominant season that he had the past year or two. He was out for injury for a little bit too, but dude, the guy's so solid. So no, it really doesn't surprise me there. I think he belongs there.
So it looks like I have no choice but to take this certain DH and a certain second baseman, right? Because that's the only choices left. Is that how this works here?
Well, are those the only spots you have remaining?
I
You
have a
should
center
have
fielder, a
three.
DH, and a second baseman. So yeah, so I have first, second, third. So first is filled with Freddie. I got Jacob Wilson at short, Jose Ramirez at third, Teoscar in left, Judge in right. So center field, DH, and second base are left here.
Okay. So yeah, you may if I already took one, you got to go with the other if that's what you're doing.
So for DH, I got to go Ryan O'Hearn. He's the leader in the AL. I have to pick him, so I'm gonna throw Ryan O'Hearn in there. I wish I could take
All right.
Devers. He's second though. That's how that works. So I'm gonna take Ryan O'Hearn. Follow the rules.
Well, Devers is in the. Oh, right. Okay. In this regards, you could still take him if he was the leader, but we're going with the leaders for today. I mean, who knows?
I'll take
This
Ryan
might
O'Hearn.
change. This might change eventually too, and then we have a whole different situation. But all right, so I have
I'll go to
catcher
war with Ryan
open.
O'Hearn. I'll go to war with him. I go to war with him.
All right, I have catcher open. I have left field open, and I have third base open. I mean, left field again. The NL guys are gone, so I mean, you have Baez and Green. Baez is playing center, so I would have to go with Green in that situation. He's going to end up on the team anyway. Third base, you took Jose Ramirez, so I have to go with Manny Machado at that point. And at this point, our options, basically, like you were alluding to, are kind of taken for us. So I'll go with the catcher right now. Go Will Smith at catcher.
All right. So I have to take Riley Green as the only natural center fielder left. That's the only guy I can put in my center field spot, unless I was to move Judge around. But I'm gonna go Riley Green.
All right, so you're moving him to center, which the only outfielder left is Baez, so I'd have to put him in left, which is fine if you
He'll
can
play
handle
there. Yeah.
center. Yeah, I hope
Mm-hmm.
so. All right, but give me Manny Machado first because I got to fill third base anyway. My team is almost all NL except I think there's gonna be two spots at the end.
Well, I'm tossing Glaber in my second base spot. So, I mean,
Okay.
not a bad lineup, really. Honestly, I'm looking at it. I think I would be happy bringing this out on the field.
All right, and then Javi Baez is going to play left for me. All right, so my team, and this is not necessarily the batting order. This is just from catcher to DH. Will Smith, Vladdy, Ketel Marte, Francisco Lindor, Manny Machado, Javi Baez, PCA, Kyle Tucker, Shohei. I'm tempted as far as order. Man, like there's a million different ways you could go with this, but I I kind of like PCA in that leadoff spot. I know Shohei's been doing it, but give me PCA leadoff, maybe Frankie Lindor second. Oh God, so many ways I could go here. I got more time to think about it. I can't do it on the fly. I thought I could, but there's too many different directions I could go. All right,
So
starting
my
pitcher. Let's not forget the starting pitcher.
Yeah, I just want to go through my lineup quick, just put it out there. So Kyle Riley at catcher, Freddie Freeman at first, Glaber Torres at second, Jacob Wilson at shortstop, Jose Ramirez at third, Teoscar Hernandez playing left, Judge playing right, Riley Green in center, and Ryan O'Hearn. Ryan fucking Hearn, baby.
Yeah, so basically, I mean, it's interesting. You're the Yankee fan, the AL guy. I'm the Met fan, the NL guy. We both know both sides pretty well, though. But I end up with a large majority NL team, except Vladdy at first, Javi Baez randomly in left. Other than that, it's all National League, and you obviously go the other way, just mixing in Teoscar Hernandez and who's your other NL guy?
Freddie
Teoscar and who
Freeman.
else? Freddie
Freddie's
Freeman.
playing first. Yep.
Okay. All right. So give me your starting pitcher then.
So starting pitcher, man, I have to go Tarek Skubal. I just have to. And I feel like I want to go the Paul Skeens route, but I would be remiss if I didn't go Skubal. I feel like he's still pound for pound the best pitcher in baseball this year.
I was hoping you went skiing so I could add some AL flavor, but you forced my hand again. I gotta go. I gotta go Skeens if you're gonna leave him there for me.
Yeah, I mean, and also if you want to look at some of these relievers out here, I mean, some great numbers from some of the relievers we're seeing, but yeah, Paul Skeens and Tarek Skubal. I think that's where we're going with starting the All-Star game, right? I
As
mean,
of now,
it could be Fried, maybe, right? I think Fried can make a case. Hunter Brown makes a case you can look at as well.
yeah, absolutely. Those guys definitely have a case. I think Senga before he went down had a case as far as ERA. I think Skeens still probably would have gotten the nod over him, but I think he at least had a case. But yeah, at this point, I think the leading candidate would be Skeens Skubal, which we almost got the other day in a doubleheader between the Pirates and Tigers, but they separated them. Maybe because they think I mean, I guess they're probably not thinking about that, but maybe they match up against each other in the All-Star game.
All right, so for our final segment here, let's head to Red Hot Ice Cold as we wrap up the episode.
Oh, hot. Oh, that's cold.
All right, so as always in the Red Hot Ice Cold segment, each of us will pick a player or a team from each category to mention and talk about who is hot and who is not. So Devin, I'll let you start with who is hot.
All right, so red hot, I'm just going with one hitter. Sometimes I pick a hitter and a pitcher, maybe a team mixed in. I'm just going with one hitter here. Eugenio Suarez in the month of June has been absolutely bonkers. Leads the league in RBIs in that month with 25 in the month, and we're only 2/3 of the way through here. Hitting 307 in June, 198 WRC plus, 10 home runs. Damn. Still striking out 33.3% of the time, too, which almost makes those numbers more impressive. And the reason I'm focusing on him, he's another interesting trade candidate. I know the Diamondbacks have come out and said, they're going to be aggressive. They're going to try to add. And we've talked about how we love that mentality out of Arizona. But I wonder if they're almost similar to what we said with the Braves with Ozuna. Suarez kind of fits that bill, too. Like a middle of the order power bat that, has been around for a little while, might not be the biggest piece of their future. Down the road, maybe they can cash in on him having a really good season, especially right now getting hot. I wonder if they at least look to deal Suarez, but he's been red hot. He's my red hot guy.
So going with my red hot player, I have CJ Abrams, and I went over the course of the last week here, 6 games, 8 hits, 4 runs. He's hitting for a little bit of power here. He's reaching base in nearly half his plate appearances, showcasing some power. This is the player that we're looking for at the top of Washington's order, and some speed and pop. And just as much as we want to laud James Wood and the other young talent on this team, CJ Abrams was still a big part of what they're going to be building on. So it's nice to see him getting hot here.
Yeah, he killed me in fantasy last week as well, so I know how hot he is. Do you have is he your only red hot, or did you put a pitcher?
I have a red hot pitcher as well. Ryan Pepio. We talked about him last week. I mean, this guy, he's been lights out over his last 2 starts, 18 strikeouts against only 2 walks, holding opponents to a 167 average, 1.38 ERA, a less than 1 whip. Some command we're seeing from him, dominance, and this is a breakout stretch for him. He's a big reason for why Tampa is hot as they are. Yeah, I mean, this guy is just every bit as advertised, and if he's going to pitch the way he's already, they have an elite pitcher at the top of the rotation.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Tampa always seems to find someone there at the top of the rotation. Ice cold. On the ice cold side, I do have a hitter and a pitcher. O'Neal Cruz for the month of June, hitting 162.
Dude, that play in center field that has been going viral. What is the deal with that?
So that's part of the reason I'm going with him as well, because it's kind of seems to be affecting his play as a whole. 162 batting average in June, 35% K rate, negative 0.2 F4. So he's lost F4 there, 7 errors in the field, and seeing that effort there, it just looks like, you can't let that carry on to the defensive side of the ball. That was sad to see. Not good. You need your best players to lead the way in every way, shape, or form. On the pitching side, this is kind of a gripe. I'm a frustrated fantasy baseball player. I said to Steve before we came on, no one's crying any tears for me. I've won that belt back there 3 times in a row, and 4 times overall. But this has been the season from hell for me so far. Very frustrating. I believe I've lost 5 games straight. So I was very much in the playoff picture, and now I am very quickly falling out. And part of it is pitching, man. Tyler Glass now has been on the IL for me for a while. Never drafted him again. Roki Sasaki, IL. Chris Sale now, IL. Aaron Nola, IL. It's just been all season long. Other guys have spent some time that I have as well. Seth Lugo was on the IL for a bit. And I know I'm not the only one. Injuries have been crazy this year. One guy who's been out there the whole season is Bailey Ober, but goddamn, he has been a rough watch. Gave up 8 home runs in his last 5 starts. That was before tonight, then proceeded to give up 3 more tonight pretty early on in the game. Somehow lasted through 7 innings. The last time I checked his ERA, it was up to 4.96. May have come down a little bit since he was able to stay in the game for a while. That's just not what you expect from Ober. He's been really good the past few seasons. And honestly, to tag on to that, the Twins team ERA over the last month, dead last in the league, 5.73, which is tied with the Athletics for worst. It's been rough over there in Minnesota, pitching-wise.
So for mine, kind of is a moot point at this point because Julio Rodriguez came out and had a really good game tonight, 4 RBIs and a home run and all that. But before that, he was ice cold over 7 games, only 4 hits. And the biggest thing was he wasn't hitting for power at all. Extra base hits were only a double over the course of 7 games. But the thing is, you knew this outbreak was coming tonight because 98% hard hit rate. He was just mired in a rough stretch. 4 for his last 26, no home runs or steals. He was getting the quality contact, but it kind of shows how difficult baseball is where he struggled to convert the barrels into production. And we're seeing Julio Rodriguez. I mean, like I said, tonight he came out and had a really good game against the Twins, but I think at some point you get worried about Julio a little bit because last year you don't want to compound. He's having a better year than he did, of course, than last year, but he's a young player that I know we're so quick to hop on the hype train of all these other young players, but Julio, don't want to forget how exciting that J-Rod was and loved when he's hitting well. But it's nice to see even in the tough stretches, there's some positive numbers you can pull out of this. And like I mentioned, the hard hit rate is still there. He's making the contact. It's just about making sure the ball finds where the batters aren't. I mean, where the fielders aren't.
Yeah, I mean, if you're in the 90th percentile of hard hit rate, I feel like it's only a matter of time before you break out, maybe put a little good streak together there. But yeah, I know I've seen some Mariner fans almost complain like that some people were happy he's cut down on his strikeout rate and stuff like that, but some Mariner fans think it's backfired and the power has kind of gone down with the strikeout rate going down. So there's that debate of like, do strikeouts matter or not? And if you think they don't and you want them to swing big because it results in more power, okay, but then consistency and batting average and on base percentage and things like that, you may want them to cut down. I mean, we talked about Francisco Alvarez earlier. Frustrating thing with him is he swings for the fences seemingly every single time. And it used to result in a lot of home runs, even if the average wasn't good. And now his power totals aren't down. So you got to go change something. You can't have both.
Oh, absolutely. And again, baseball's a long season. You have to be able to find those numbers, even when you're not getting the results you want. I like what we're seeing, the advanced statistics, and I think those do loom very large for a player like Julio Rodriguez because last year in the quiet moments and the dark times of the season, we weren't seeing those numbers transcend, and that was the more troubling thing. So we'll continue to follow him. And I know Kyle Riley is the story over in the Pacific Northwest in Seattle, but a lot of young talent there, and there's a lot of fun things going. Can we just get playoff baseball back at T-Mobile? Like, can we just have meaningful games over there in October? I'm not a Seattle Mariners fan, but at this point, I think it's good for everybody if we start seeing meaningful baseball there.
Yeah, I mean, you got to take Houston down before that's going to happen. That's just seems to be the story every year.
They had their shot last year, dude. They were right there. Now they sit 4.5 games back, but maybe they'll reverse roles of last year because where they're sitting is the seat they were looking upon them at this time last year, where you pronounce Houston DOA multiple times, and here Houston is sitting in the captain's chair once again, doing things that they always do and just winning baseball.
Yep, same old story. People leave and they just keep on chugging right along.
Yeah, similar to the full cycle here, talking about the LSU Tigers. It's like you create an institution and you find a way to churn out talent and fill that hole. It's like the Patriot way for those mid-2000s Super Bowl wins.
Exactly. It's a good comparison.
All right, let's get to our final wrap-up as we come around third. All right, as we wrap up this episode again at episode 90 here, as we make our journey towards 100, we appreciate all the support you guys give us. You can also follow us at Tablesetters Pod on IG and also on the X Machine. Devin, before we say goodbye for the evening, anything you're watching that you want people to be aware of?
I mean, I'm just looking ahead in the week. We've talked a lot about the Mets and Braves, and we already talked about what the Mets have next. So I'm not going to go with a homer pick as far as kind of what I'm looking forward to down the road here. I mean, when I look at the weekend series that we have coming up, I think Cubs and Astros is very interesting. I mean, Kyle Tucker returning to Houston for, I believe, the first time. Obviously, two teams in the thick of the playoff race, division leaders. So I think that's a fun series. I'll have my eyes on that. And then selfishly, I mean, not completely a homer pick, but still a little selfishly, Braves and Phillies. I mean, who knows what's going to happen with the rest of this Mets-Braves series, but, Braves-Phillies becomes a very important series as well, regardless. So those are the two looking down the road as far as what I'll be focused on.
And for me, it's more of the generality of baseball fully takes center stage. Now, the NBA Finals is in the rearview mirror. The NFL Draft happened. The Stanley Cup ended. So now all eyes go towards the Major League Baseball season for a lot of the casual fans that tune into the big events. This is when they start to tune into the baseball season with the meat and potatoes out there. And we have sort of the haves and have-nots, the winners and the losers, the contenders and the pretenders. They're watching through the lens of now people are tuning in. And that's when it really gets interesting. We're about at the halfway mark. We're approaching it at this point. It will be certainly a lot of the intricate storylines we're covering at this point, but it'll be fascinating to watch baseball take center stage, and can they encapsulate that and find a way to grab it and build some momentum? I think the game's in a really good place, but as far as the national media goes, it's still lacking, and I'm not sure if it's because it's so spread out. If there is, the lack of ESPN, the lack of ESPN's importance in the market at this point does loom large. Can baseball somehow grab the spotlight and keep it for the extended summer? And I know Shohei plays a part of that. Aaron Judge will play a part of that. But how can we showcase this talent to make sure people are watching baseball on a nightly basis? That's what I'm watching.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're well on their way, to be honest. I mean, everyone other than ESPN seems to want a piece of Major League Baseball, whether it be, Apple TV having games. And I know this frustrates people, but it's also a good sign that everyone wants a piece. Roku, I've seen Mets are on Fox sometimes. They're on Pix. They're on their own network in SNY. TBS had a game. ESPN still has a game for now on Sundays. I don't know. I think it's in a good place, and there's just so many young stars. It's every week there seems to be a new story, a new star coming up. Chase Burns, the latest. Watch that tomorrow night, especially against the Yankees. That'll be a lot of fun. So yeah, all good things for Major League Baseball, no doubt.
So just a quick quote to run by you about the popularity of baseball and just the marketplace in general. I mean, you're teaching younger kids, and I'm sure you see a lot of soccer jerseys, right? Where you are you seeing a lot of influx of like the popularity of soccer among younger male and females?
Yeah, soccer's huge, but I mean the other sports, baseball's big as well. But yeah, a lot of soccer stuff. Yeah.
So early in the weekend, Johnny Infantino, who is the FIFA president, came out and he was talking about really just soccer at large and where it stands in USA, and was like bullish on MLS and how they're doing things. And he said pretty confidently that soccer will be soon to be the number one sport here in America. So that is obviously a stretch with the NFL being in consideration. But he did say there was one thing that he said the sport should consider among all sports, and he thinks Major League Soccer should play a part of this as well, is relegation and promotion. He said that does challenge teams and owners to put their best competitive team on the field. This is what the Fanatics Fest on Sunday. I know this is what we mentioned in New York City this weekend, but he was there and he was talking about in 3 to 4, maximum 5 years, it will be a top in one of the top leagues in the world, MLS. He's talking about, and I'll tell you why, because now I'm here. And he's going through the data about how soccer is right now behind the big four sports, but they will be passing them. And he said of those who do watch, 76% said they watch men's international soccer, 50% watch women's international soccer, and 55% already watch MLS. And that's the casual sports fan. And obviously he has a lot of stake in the game. This is like his thing. He's the FIFA president. So what else is he going to say? But the thing that caught my eye was the relegation and promotion. And I think that is something that looms large in baseball, where you have these deadweight teams that are not doing their part. And I'm not sure how you build infrastructure to be able to have a team ready to head up to the Major League Baseball promotion and be able to figure out what the stadium would look like. It's so much deeper than just saying send the Pirates down to hell and find a way to put them in minor league baseball. But I think that does loom a part of why international sports is so popular, because like there's urgency to win on every single year.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't think it's realistic for baseball or probably the other sports. I mean, baseball, you'd probably have to, they're thinking about expansion teams anyway, but to start relegation, you'd probably have to take those 2 expansion teams, which you're now taking major league players to put on that team, at least some, and start them in AAA. That's what you'd have to do. And then at that point, every year, there's 2 teams going down and those 2 teams coming up. That's the only way you'd have to start it. And it becomes a players union thing. No one's agreeing to do that and play for those teams. And what happens with the pay? Are they getting paid equal to the major league players? There's too many things for that to happen. I understand the point of it. But for some reason, it's been built into soccer for a very, very long time. To kind of just add it into baseball or football now with all the union stuff, it would never happen.
Yeah, I agree with that. I just thought it was interesting. I mean, the 5-year plan of saying it will be the most popular sport in all of the US, it's bold, but again, we take for granted the young generation of fans that maybe baseball, football, basketball hasn't quite gripped yet. And for whatever reason, soccer has. And I think a lot of
the problem with it though is, all right, so I see a lot of soccer fans in my school, definitely, but it's all still fans of the European teams, and it's all Messi and Cristiano
Messi's in the Major League Soccer now. He
Ronaldo.
plays for Inter Miami, but
I
just saying.
understand, but I don't know. Number one, I think is a stretch. I do think it's gained popularity, no doubt about it, and the youth now definitely I feel like is more into it than we were when we were that age, no doubt about it. So it has grown, but I don't know if I see the complete vision.
Yeah, and I think right now, if you're comparing anything to the NFL, it just comes off as foolish. You know what I mean? If you're going to say 5 years from now, something's going to top the NFL, something would have to drastically change with the way sports are. And I understand the head injury stuff, young kids not playing football. That does change the perspective.
I do think the NFL over time is going to lose popularity a little bit. I don't know what steps in for it, if anything, but I think mixed what you just said, less people playing tackle football, head injury stuff. The rules have changed a lot, which make the game, let's be honest, if you've been watching it for a long time, way less entertaining. The product is way less entertaining. They should thank their lucky stars for the obsession with fantasy football, with betting and all that stuff, because it keeps that game in the stratosphere. But like the actual product, the last few years for the first 4 or 5 weeks is awful. It's really, really bad. And then like the second half of the year, it starts to get better again, but it's nothing like it was 10 years ago or so. Like it's just a worse product.
I also just think the NFL is indicative, and I'm a big fan of the NFL. I watch it. I'm a big Packer fan, as everybody knows on this show, but is indicative of the microwave society that people want things quick. They don't want to pay attention and invest. Like the NFL, you could just hop in and you can just enjoy it on a Sunday, and you don't have to invest the full scope of what it is for a baseball game, which is why, the argument goes of trying to shorten the games for the casual fan and pace of play, etc. When you cater to that, you take a lot of the integrity away. And like you mentioned too, some of the soul of the NFL game has been changed. And I think it is cyclical eventually, maybe being that the fact that they are sitting in the limelight constantly under scrutiny because they are the lights are shining brightest on them. You can make changes like Major League Baseball. Major League Baseball is still doing very well financially. Let's not mistake that. But you're able to fine tune your game when you're not the number one game in town. They're able to find the rules and get. And I think baseball's in a better spot than they were 5 years ago. But I also think things have shifted, and people have been saying for a long time. Think about how the NHL, when they came off of ESPN and they were on Versus for a long time, and it just became like a niche sport. It takes time to cultivate back to where you are. And I think really, I mean, you can make the argument popularity wise, Major League Baseball has come closer to the NBA in a short period of time than anyone ever thought. The NBA was a distant second from the MLB being third popularity wise, and NBA took a huge jump in a bad direction because of the quality of play. I think people were disenchanted with the product. We saw the ratings of the NBA were horrendous drop this year, and it's because of the load management, not seeing the stars play. So not to go too far in a tangent, but I think the trajectory of sports can shift very, very quickly. But I think right now NFL is so far ahead. I mean, eventually something will have to change where like you said before, maybe the head injury stops people from playing football, but at some point it's just like the illusion of safety of protecting these players is just quote unquote just that illusion.
Well, they're the only sport with a day. I think that's an underrated part of the argument. Sundays are football all fall. People build their day around it. Their get-togethers. Non-football fans are a part of it. Like, we're going here to have wings and beer, and like, my girlfriend, my wife's coming, and not to be, I'm sounding sexist now that they're not going to, but you know what I'm saying. Or my buddy who has no interest in football is coming
Yeah.
along. But it's all tied in to Sunday. Like, what other sport just has a day? They don't.
Yeah,
That's a huge part.
college
They have a
football
day.
for Saturday,
Right,
but yeah,
still football.
it's a
Yeah,
football
but
thing.
like
Yeah.
the NFL has a day. It's like a set time and day, whereas baseball's on every day of the week. NBA during the season is on every day of the week. Hockey is on every day of the week. Just having a day and less games, it's like all just packed in, and it's more of an event. I think that's an underrated part of the
Good
argument.
point.
But you're right. Baseball, the play and product of the actual game has gone up over the last few years. Basketball, the product has gone down. Football, the product has absolutely gone down. I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah, and I just think profitability for the NFL, similar to tying it back to wrestling with WWE, like you're so far ahead for a little bit that no one really feels it, but all of a sudden it catches up to you when you get a diluted product. And you can make the argument WWE is doing the same thing, foregoing quality for the Saudi Arabian deal, all that stuff. But we've drifted off the path at this point. We came around third. We're sitting at home plate, drinking tea with the umpire at this point. We appreciate you guys listening. It was a good intellectual conversation to end the thing here. Hope you guys are staying cool. If you are involved in this heat wave across the East Coast or elsewhere, it's hot everywhere. So make sure you guys are drinking water and staying cool. If you're listening to this, we do appreciate you guys. Follow us on Instagram and on the X Machine at Tablesetters Pod. Leave a 5-star review if you could do so. You'd be so kind. It would mean the world to us. Grok did it for us. Unfortunately, cannot be added to Spotify or to Apple, but we do appreciate it. Helps the algorithm. We did appear on that good pods list, whatever that does mean, number 2 out of hundreds of baseball podcasts. So clearly our 2 guests that week with Jack McMullen and Bryce Whitlow did resonate. And we hope that we kept you guys along for the ride and you're enjoying the content when it's just Evan and I talking baseball, because we love this stuff.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, obviously we're talking about it for an hour and 40, almost 7 minutes now. So if that comes across and you enjoy listening, give us a review so I don't have to rely on Grok to give us an updated review on the product.
Or Rob Gronkowski, either way. So we'll catch you guys next week, and we'll be talking more baseball. Who knows what's going to happen in this wild world of Major League Baseball, but we'll be here covering it all. Until that time, we will talk to you after a while.